Welcome to Here Where You Belong, your go-to podcast for exploring belonging, with your host and belonging expert, Dea Irby. We are thrilled to have you join us. Together, we'll dive into the depths of what it means for each of us to find our own place in the world, whether it's within our communities, our relationships, or within ourselves. Today's episode is meant to inspire, uplift, and remind you that no matter where you are or where you're headed, you have a place where you truly belong. So, grab a cozy spot and settle in. Welcome to Here Where You Belong.
Hello, awesome belongers. Welcome home to Here Where You Belong podcast. Today's guest spent most of his life dreaming of belonging to the writing community until one story finally gave him the courage to take his own place in it. I'm Dea, your host. Get ready to be inspired and blessed. Help me welcome T.A. Thompson. Hey, T.A.
Hi, Dea. Thank you very much for having me on.
I am so glad you're here. But let me tell you a little bit more about our guest today. T.A. is a novelist, a storyteller, avid reader, and lifelong lover of imagination. For years, T.A. carried stories in his heart, wondering if he truly belonged among the authors whose books filled his shelves. Then one day, he stopped waiting, put one of those stories on paper, and discovered that sometimes belonging begins the moment we have the courage to share what's been inside us all along. Today, T.A. is the author of The Mark, with Arching on the Way, Arcing on the Way, and another novel, Liber Animarum. We're going to talk about that.
Good old Latin.
Yes, the Book of Souls, already in the works. His stories are known for keeping readers guessing, surprising them at every turn, and creating characters they can't help but love, and sometimes love to hate. Whether he's working in the commercial industry, insurance industry by day, or building unforgettable fictional worlds by night, T.A. reminds us that imagination has the power to open doors we once thought were closed. Welcome, T.A. Any additions, subtractions, or corrections to that introduction?
No, that was fantastic. I feel like we could end the podcast. That was great.
You want to meet the guy?
I don't think I could do that any better.
I am excited to hear about this venture, this journey you had about finding belonging in the writing world. And this is about belonging, and that's why I asked you here. So the mic is yours to tell us your story and maybe invite people into your world of writing.
I would love it if people entered my world of writing. I always love hearing what people have to say, and just to kind of piggyback on your belonging, I want them to belong to my world and provide me with feedback, because that's how I'm going to grow as an author. But the actual story of belonging, like you said, as an author, that is really tough, because when you start that, most of the time, at least it was for me, I didn't belong to anything. I belonged to myself and my keyboard, and I had to write, and live in that world by myself. Every once in a while, I'd drag my daughter in to read it and just give me her opinion. But she's always going to tell me it's great. It's always great. It's great, Dad.
Well, how old is she? 6? No, I'm just kidding.
I probably let her read it a little younger than she should have been. But she's how old is she? She's 24 now. So
okay.
Yeah. But yeah, the belonging really came after I finished the first book, which I actually wrote Arcing first. And then I met a coworker. She used to be an editor, so we had a great conversation, and she reviewed the book for me. I had another professional editor look at it, and we had good conversations about it. And then things kind of stalled with getting it published. That is a really hard process, and I was not expecting that. Then I wrote The Mark. That idea just popped in my head one day, and I got all excited and sat down and started writing it. Once again, dragged my daughter in to be my sounding board for every chapter when it was done. She probably got annoyed with me because I would call her 15 minutes after I'd email it to her and go, "Have you finished reading it yet?" She was in college. I mean, come on. But uh, but and then working towards getting that published. Once again, working with an editor, having great conversations, talking to other people that have read it. And actually, this one made me feel more included because I went the extra step and I went to a marketing company and I had it beta read. And I received a lot of fantastic feedback and a lot of soul crushing feedback. But for the most part, it was very positive. But it
Well,
made
for
me
those that may not know what a beta reading is, go tell us a little more about that.
Sure. So beta readers will read your manuscript before it's ever published, and they are usually other authors or other people in the industry, and they have a lot of experience writing and publishing. And they will go through your book with a fine-tooth comb and point out everything that's good about it and everything that's bad about it. And they make suggestions on how you can make it better. They make suggestions on what you should keep in or what you should expand on. And it was a phenomenal experience. It definitely made the book better listening to a fair amount of their feedback. The prologue is actually in there only because beta readers told me they needed more information about how everything was started before they could just dive into the book. So, and a lot of people tell me that's their favorite part of the book because it sucks them right in.
So, the genre of the book, because I don't think we've talked about that. Have we?
So the genre, no, I don't think we did. I my we class it as adult dystopian. It's definitely not young adult dystopian.
Okay.
I couldn't write young adult because I can't read young adult. Like I like real adult things and adult words and adult actions, and it's definitely not anything I would have let like my young teenagers or even like mid teens read because I mean it's an adult book. Um, it falls it falls between dystopian and post-apocalyptic. However, that really is more for just like setting the scene of the book. It doesn't take over the book like some other novels do. And it follows the main character. Her name is Alexandra, and she's 25 years old, and she's the oldest person in the world. And that is because the event that caused the collapse of the world was caused by a geneticist who, through some manipulation, made it so that everyone died around the age of 22, which, if you think about it, causes a lot of social issues and it causes power vacuums and it takes away all of the experience that the world has from all of those people who are over 22 years of age. So, your doctors, your lawyers, your people who run power plants, teachers, like all of that goes right out the window. So, you can see where that would really just throw the world back hundreds of years in its evolution. And with her being 25, she doesn't belong. She's ostracized because of her age. People think that she
So
is.
old.
Sure. I
She's,
said a lot there. Go ahead.
yeah, no, I'm just saying she's so old at
Oh, she's so
25.
old. Yes, yes. Um, and she thinks of herself as old, and it's not like I mean she's a regular 25-year-old woman, but she expects to die at any second. So that is part of the reason people don't like her because one, she's a freak. She's lived longer than anyone in 500 years. And the other reason is because she lives her life and makes her decisions based on the fact that, I mean, I'm going to die any second. What kind of consequences am I really going to face? So her decisions aren't necessarily for the betterment of the group. A lot of times they're quite selfish. And part of her character arc is learning to deal with that and work with other people when she's always just kind of been that lone wolf and realize that whether or not she's going to die at any second, those consequences really do matter. And in order for her to belong with any other group, she needs to think about those consequences and how they're going to affect those people and make positive decisions on with those outcomes.
Wow. Does she live all the way to the end of the book?
I can't tell you that. I can't tell you that.
Okay, okay. So we all have to order the book.
Hmm.
Um, Thank you for that. I don't know if we were going on that, but I can see you like imagination and you have created a new world. And I know there's Hunger Games and all these things, but they're young adult. Are there any other of this genre in the adult world?
I have been told that there is, but I have not stumbled across them.
Mhm.
I I can be a little narrow-minded in my reading. That comes with anxiety. You don't like to try new things because it might be bad. So I really love Stephen King and I like George R. R. Martin and I'm reading Robert Jordan right now. So it's kind of the horror and then the fantasy and then the mix of the two when you throw in the dragons and stuff. So that tends to be the world that my imagination lives in.
Okay. I was just thinking the mark and the ark and the, too bad you don't have something that rhymes with that for the third one. But anyway, that's great. So when did you, or like growing up, were you in an environment, I guess you were always out in the yard fighting dragons even when you were young?
There were times, yes, when I wasn't reading. Yes.
Did you feel like as a reader that you didn't belong, or did you have other friends that were readers that you would get together with and talk about your books?
I didn't actually have a youth book club, if that's what you want to call it. And that was probably just because I spent so much time reading. I didn't make that extra time to spend with other kids who were reading. And then, when I was spending time with other kids, we were riding bikes or we were building forts or we were swimming and, doing all that crazy stuff. But I would find time to read either at night or in the morning, or just if it was too hot to run outside and do anything, I would just sit on the swing outside and read.
You belong to books.
I would say that, yeah, I do. I do belong to books.
All the characters in the books are who you belong to.
Yeah, I would
Also.
say they belong to me. I belong to them. There's a little
Yes,
piece of me in each one of them.
exactly, exactly. Now that you've made it,
That might be pushing it, but go for it.
hey, I need to look it up. What percentage of people that say they're going to write a book make it all the way to the shelf? And it's just not, you can start 100 books, but um, what advice would you give someone about writing a book?
The trick there is to just keep working on it, and it's not fast. There's times when I'll write half a page. There's times when I'll write 5, 6, 7 pages in a day, and there's days I won't write anything. Life happens. I have bills to pay, and this definitely doesn't pay the bills yet. So it's unfortunately not my main focus, but it's always in my mind, and my head is always turning with what's going to be next, what's going to happen in the story next, how can I twist that around, how can I make it interesting, what is going to make people want to pick this up, read it, and more importantly, talk about it after the fact.
Mm. So is that your approach, or do you have a methodology? Like, do you come up with characters and really develop the characters and then they tell you what's happening in the story? Or,
So Dia, I'm impatient. I'm an impatient person. So when I like get an idea for a book, the first two that I wrote, I literally was like, "Oh, I have an idea," and I sat down and I started writing without any planning. The first one that worked. I wrote it from beginning to end. Didn't take one note. The second one, the mark, I started writing. I was like, "Okay, I'm here, and I need to get there. I don't know how I'm going to get there." So then I had to like slow down and I had to like write out a couple characters and I had to do a little bit of an outline that I ended up not following anyway. But it just gave me the ideas of what I needed to do to move forward. I hate that so much. Oh, drives me nuts. The book I'm working on right now, it's going to be even more complex. And started writing out characters, and I think I wrote out two characters, and the rest I was like, I'll figure it out. Because I feel like
so you have the
I'm writing.
protagonist and the antagonist, and those are your two characters you work with? No,
No,
not
just
even.
I just the protagonist, and then like the heart of what everything is around in that, and then I'm like, I'll figure the rest of it out, because I feel like all of those pages in that legal pad that I'm writing, they while they're important, they're not moving my story forward at, by word count. Are they moving my story forward? Absolutely, because they're building a foundation. But my brain just works by word count, right? I'm not seeing that go up, so I'm like, I'm just spinning my wheels. So nobody listen to me when it comes to writing. Just just know I'm impatient, and I like to put my characters in situations and see how they get out of it.
Yeah.
I usually don't even know how they're going to get out of it. I
Well,
just am like,
because
this is happening.
they have their own
What happens?
personality, their
Hmm.
own. You have to know the backstory of your characters to know if staying in character they're going to do it. Will they go ahead and jump in that off the cliff into the lake because they're courageous? You got it, or they're going to figure out how to create a rope with vines next to the cliff and climb down it. If you know your character, you know what they're going to do. Amazing. I love talking to authors and I love talking to imagination people. You've got it. You've got both of those. But this is a perfect time to take a break because we will be right back with my guest today, T.A. Thompson. See you in a sec. Hey there. Isn't my guest amazing? So glad you joined us today. In this world that often feels disconnected, building community and fostering belonging are essential. That's why I created this podcast to bring inspiring people to you, to encourage you to create that sense of belonging and community, no matter where you are. If you're being blessed by my guest, and we have some more, like, subscribe, and share this podcast. You know who needs to hear this. Stay connected, stay true to yourself, and always remember, you belong. Now, back to our amazing guest. And we are back with today's guest, T.A. Thompson. And as you know, if you've heard any of my episodes, I have 3 questions I love to ask my guest, and he's going to have to answer them too. First question: what do you consider is your greatest accomplishment?
My wife and I raising our 6 children. So we have a blended family, and they are all between 26 and 23 right now. I had to stop there for a second and think about it. So yeah, that's a huge accomplishment. And really, they should probably get more credit than we do because they are all very responsible, very good children or young adults now.
So wait, the youngest at this point is 23 and the oldest is 26, and there
Hmm.
are 6 of them.
Hmm. The joys of a blended family.
But are there any twins or
Hmm. Yeah, the youngest 2 boys, they're twins. They're 23.
okay. And so I'm guessing if everybody went to college, you had 6 in college at the same time.
Not all of them went to college. My oldest one went for a year, and then my youngest one, she has her master's degree in aerospace engineering, and she get moved out to California with her boyfriend just as fast as she could once that degree was signed. My middle daughter is an esthetician, and one of my stepsons, he has his cosmetology license. He loves doing that. And then
Wow,
my youngest stepson, he is in college right now for going for a business degree.
that is an accomplishment.
Yeah, they're
And
all doing great. I'm very proud of them.
and it sounds like you had a higher goal than some people I hear. Well, if I can just keep them out of prison and not dead.
Mine was nobody get pregnant before 20, please. And we won. We won. No babies yet.
So I'm glad that they sound like they are finding real purpose and accomplishing great things. Not that you're not, yeah, whatever they're going after, whatever they're meant to go after, and that's good. Um, Anything else you want to add to maybe your second greatest accomplishment?
I'm happy that I finally took, I don't want to say the initiative, but overcame my fears of publishing something and took that step and was able to publish the book through KDP on Amazon. That to me was a big step because I'm putting myself out there to anyone who can buy the book or pick up the book and read the book, for criticism and critique. And I have a hard time with that, especially with something that I spent 2 years working on that I love. I mean, I still read the book and I laugh. I still laugh at certain spots. And my wife just looks at me and says, "Haven't you read that 8 times by now?" Yep. Yes, I have. And I love laughing at this part every single time.
Well, I equate publishing a book to birthing a baby. You have developed it, you've gotten it all ready, and then it's born. And when you get criticisms, it's like somebody saying, "You got an ugly baby." It's like,
Yeah, if anybody tells me I have an ugly baby, those are fighting words.
yes. And then, but just because the baby is born, as you know, with 6 children in their 20s, that's not the end of the story. That's just the beginning. You've got to feed it and clothe it and educate it, introduce it to people, teach it how to have social skills. You have to do that's marketing of your book. You have to take it everywhere and introduce it to people and take care of, put clothes on it, put it in a house online. Um, it just the getting it written is, well, I call it big, but in chair. It's you just have to sit down and do it. It doesn't write itself. And so that's sort of your being pregnant with it. And then you have the labor pains of the second, third, fourth edit, and you get sent back and all the things. And then it's born. Then you have to take care of it.
Yeah, my labor pains were the beta readers looking at it. That hurt. That definitely hurt. I'm not going to equate that to childbirth. I don't want people coming after me, but it hurt.
It's pretty close, as close as a man can feel the pain.
Probably. And because I'm a man, I'm a baby. So yeah, it hurt.
If a woman had a wife had the first baby and the husband had the second one and the wife had the third one, there would be no fourth children in any family.
Oh no. No, there probably wouldn't be that second.
Right. But anyway, that is a great accomplishment and something that too few people have actually accomplished. They think they want to, and they get really far, or put it on the shelf and I'll come back to it later, and don't.
I've been
Or
guilty of that. I've been guilty of that. I probably have 3 other books that I started and got a ways into, and for whatever reason, just stopped. And like the Mark, I probably put that down for about 6 months. I just had other things going on in life. I would argue to the death on this, though, that was probably one of the best things that happened to the book, because even though I set it down, I was thinking about it every day, even at night when I would mow the lawn, when I was working, constantly coming up with new ideas for it. And I feel like that made it a better book. It fleshed out the characters better. It fleshed out the situations. It allowed me to grab people's emotions more. Which to me, if when a book sticks with me, it's because it really grabbed my emotions. It's not because
right, it's
something
how it
super
made you feel.
descriptive. Exactly. Yeah, and emotion is what sticks in your mind.
Right, right. Okay. Second question. What makes you feel like you belong?
Writing the book has made me feel like I belong for a few different reasons. One, there's authors out there and I can have conversations with other authors to see what their journey is like. And mine being self-published on Amazon is going to be different than someone who went the traditional publishing route. But we all have our stories, we all have our pain points. There's things that we like and that we don't like about our process. And just being able to have those conversations, I think is phenomenal. What else makes me feel like I belong is the marketing journey that I'm doing right now and talking to great podcast hosts like yourself and hearing your half of the story, even just hearing your questions. I love the questions that you come up with that make me stop and think about what my response is, because it's not something that's ever come across my mind before as it relates to writing the book or just my life in general while writing the book and trying to publish it. I think that's great.
That's awesome. Um, it does make a difference when you are able to have an experiential conversation. Like you can talk theory with somebody all day long, and that's it. You've just talked theory. But if you can almost like share a foxhole experience with someone, then it connects you. You do feel like you belong. And of course, it takes getting out and having conversations with people.
And that can be hard.
It can be hard, especially if you like to sit at home and be friends with your characters in your books and write.
And when you work from home, yeah,
And when
all of
you
those
work
things
from
add
home.
up and pile on.
So, what is your greatest challenge about getting out and belonging with people?
I have a hard time meeting new people. So if I'm in a setting where it's like, okay, people are going to come to me because we need to talk about this, great. I can do that all day long. If I'm in a room full of people, like a networking event, and I'm just supposed to go up and start talking to somebody, you'll probably find me in the corner crying softly somewhere.
How can that be a better situation?
How can I make that a better situation? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
I just need to realize that all of us there are in the same boat in the same situation, and it's probably weird for all of us to a certain extent. And the ones that it's not weird for, that's because they've been doing it for a while, and we're all there for the same reason. So I would expect them to be welcoming, just like I would be to them if they came up and started talking to me.
Right. If you approach someone that you don't know at, say, a networking situation, if you're approaching them to see how you can serve them, what do I have that I can help you be move forward in your business? Sometimes that helps to approach someone, because part of what we don't want to do and why we are hesitant is we don't want to look like we're coming out to find out what they can do for us.
And I also don't wanna feel like I'm trying to sell them something
That's
either.
what I mean.
Like, helping them, even though I would hopefully make some money off of that, that's not the goal. The goal is to help them, make them feel better about what they're doing, make their lives easier, and then, any monetary compensation that trickles down from that's just a bonus.
Right. Right. There are ways of thinking about the other person that it does help. So, moving on to our third question. What is your favorite quote?
So I'm going to be a little narcissistic here and quote from my own book
Oh,
because
I love it.
when my editor read this, she actually pointed this quote out to me and said she loved it. And then I went back and reread it and I went, "Oh yeah, that was pretty good." So now it sticks out to me. Um, let's see. It says it's not their job to clean up the messes we create. It's our job. We own our messes and our mistakes. It's how we earn the right to own our victories. And to me, that's important because we need to own everything that we do. And if we're just owning things that are positive, we're not learning anything from the ones that are negative. We're just dismissing them. And that doesn't make us good people and it doesn't progress us through life.
That is that totally eliminates victimhood. And that's one of my, anybody can be a victim,
Yeah.
but you don't have to be a victim because anybody can be a victor. Uh,
I'm actually glad you said that because while that completely aligns with what you said, the quote and what you said, never even thought of it that way. So I think that's fantastic. Great way
so
of looking at that.
Alexandra was the one that said that in your book, The Mark. So
Yes.
what prompted that?
So she
Am I
had
asking you to give away secret parts of the story?
this is not secret. Just the book's violent, people. So she had just executed someone
Okay.
who had betrayed her. They committed treason, and obviously there was blood on the floor. So her servants came out to clean it, and she would refuse to let them clean it. And she grabbed the soap and the rag, and she cleaned all the blood off the floor herself because it was her. She felt it was her duty and her responsibility because she's the one who created the mess.
What a perfect picture. I mean, yes, it would be so easy if she's the person in power that has the servants that can come out and take care of it. But that her character is fully invested in the concept of owning all your actions, good and bad. She is Is she the one that's 25?
Yes.
Yes. And that's why she's so wise, because she's so old.
We can chalk it up to that. That's a good one.
But that your editor was right to find that quote and really say, this is good, because it is.
I like it too. And as silly as it is, I feel like when I wrote it, I was like, oh yeah, this is good. But her pointing it out really made me take another look at it and think about it and think of the different ramifications that could have and how that trickled down to her people. I probably thought of it at the time when I wrote it, but I'd also set the book down for 5 years after I finished it, and it just, you forget some things. So I'm really glad she did point that back out to me, because when you're going back through and you're editing your book, you read the words, but sometimes you're not always listening to them or getting the context, because you're more checking, okay, is this the right word? Is it spelled correctly? Is my comma in the right place? And you're more focused on the grammar than you are on the content.
Right. Like a line editor and a content editor. There's a couple, there are different kinds of editors.
Mm-hmm.
And, but yes, I could ponder that for a while. We own our messes and mistakes. It's how we earn the right to own our victories.
And
Yeah.
adding in the right to me was very important, because I do feel like owning our victories is a right. We do have to earn that through everything that we did before our victories. It's how we get there.
Well, exactly. And just because you have a victory doesn't mean you didn't have 900 mistakes to get to it.
Mm-hmm. And it
But
also makes that victory sweeter, and it has more emphasis behind it. It has more meaning to you when you do have that victory.
because you've earned the right. Ooh, so well crafted. That sentence is very well crafted. You need to put t-shirts, make some t-shirts.
I'll make some plaques, sell them on Etsy.
Don't laugh. Somebody will buy it.
They
Well,
might. It's going to be a big plaque, though. There's a lot of words there.
yes, it is. So I would go with the t-shirts. So before we close, do you have any parting words for our listeners?
Yes. First of all, please support your self-published authors. Just because we're not with a publishing house doesn't mean that it's bad stuff. I think what I wrote is really good, and I've read some other self-published things that are really good as well. The other thing is, and you'll get this when you read the book, cherish every moment that you have, cherish the time that you have with the people that you have, because it doesn't last forever.
That is good. Yeah. Especially if you're living in his world and you only make it to 25. But
Yes.
maybe that's the perspective we should have. And maybe that was one of your points. What if we only lived to 25? How much are we going to treasure every day that we have? Wow. Well, to our amazing guests, thank you, TA.
You're
And to our
welcome.
listeners, belongers, stay connected, stay true to yourself.
Thanks for tuning in to Hear Where You Belong. We hope today's episode has inspired you to embrace the beauty of belonging in your own life. Remember, no matter where you are or where you're headed, you have a place where you truly belong. Join us again next time for more insightful conversations and heartwarming stories. Until then, stay connected, stay true to yourself, and always remember that you belong.